a house divided amongst itself. That's how some political watchers are describing what is happening to the NDC minority in Parliament after the counter press conferences today. It started with a press conference by the new leadership of the House, led by Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen. During his first news conference as the leader of the caucus, he pledged to lead with high integrity. He also called for cool heads, calm, and unity within the caucus.
I'm deeply honored and humbled to have been chosen to lead our gallant NDC minority caucus in Ghana's parliament. I wish to use this opportunity again to thank the leadership of our great NDC party, who have placed their trust and confidence in me. I am also deeply grateful to our colleagues, the rank and file of our great party, the NDC, and the people of Ghana for their profound support and solidarity. I have held fruitful and positive conversation, in fact, frank conversation, with my senior brother, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu. I commended him for his admirable leadership and stewardship when he was granted the opportunity by our great party to lead us. As leader, it will be my duty to represent our collective goals in particular, with an unwavering dedication, and most importantly, with high integrity. I have no doubt that with the support of the entire minority caucus in Parliament, we shall succeed.
Now, hours after that news conference, a group of the minority MPs aligned to the outgoing leadership also held a news conference to counter the earlier one held by Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen, a former majority leader of the caucus, Kletos Africa, who said the old leadership are still in office, contrary to news about a supposed reshuffle.
We are equally concerned that the letters that were issued
is this when the Speaker reads the letter to Parliament, the letter he had received from the Secretary of the party that indicating the reshuffle. It is when that letter is read to members of the House that it can take effect. As at now, we are already said we are not there. So as far as we are concerned, the current leaders of the House, Honorable Haruna Idrisu Muntaka and co, are deemed to still be in office. So our petition is going to the Council of Elders of the NDC. We are petitioning the Council of Elders of the NDC with a copy to the National Executive, with a copy to the Speaker of Parliament, and a copy of the said petition to the former flag bearer, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The basis for our petition is a prayer to suspend the reshuffle indicated by the National Executive of the party until such time. The basis of our petition is to appeal to them to suspend the suspension exercise until such time that there's a holistic meeting of stakeholders and consultation before we take a decision. We are saying so against the backdrop that the National Executive Committee of the party a few weeks ago decided that all appointees in the party and in Parliament should remain in office until after we have concluded the parliamentary primaries and the flag bearer primaries on the 13th of May this year. That all office holders and appointees should remain in office until the primaries are over. We are therefore surprised that the primaries are not yet taken place, they are not yet over, and a reshuffle is hitting the caucus of Parliament. We think that that is premature. We have also investigated and discovered that the Functional Executive Committee, FEC, and the National Executive Committee, NEC, including the Council of Elders, did not have a formal meeting to take a decision on this matter. And then, of course, the caucus as a body was not consulted on this matter. And we think that that is quite not well in place. It is against the backdrop of this that we are humbly appealing to the national executive of the party that they should suspend their current action and let the current officers, Haruna and his team, remain in office until such time that the primaries are over and we have a holistic stakeholder consultation before we decide on the way forward. In that case, the current executive that we, as I said, that are still in office, should remain in office and steer the affairs of the caucus until such time that we advise ourselves. We want to pledge our support to the party. We are committed to the party. We are committed to the focus of the caucus to assist the party in the coming elections in December 2024 so that we can form government.
An embattled Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak also questioned the basis for the action of the national executives of their party.
We are equally concerned that the letters that were issued were not the decision of the party. Our party, as NDC, has about 4 decision-making group structures. First, the Congress, where all delegates meet to take decision. Second is the National Executive Committee, that's NEC. And then third is the Functional Executive Committee. It is when this group take decision, then you get the General Secretary and the principal officers implement. Then we also have the Council of Elders, even though our constitution says that they are advisory. Sometimes, periodically, they also give directions and then the party tries to implement. We are firm, because I serve as on FEC, I serve on NEC, I go to Council of Elders as an observer, and I also on the political committee as an observer. Congress, all of us as members of Parliament are members of Congress. And the minority leader is also on all these levels. At no such meeting was there any agenda to discuss this. So it is clear that it is a letter, yes, written by the General Secretary, but the decision may be just the decision of some few people in the party. And we believe that our party should sit up, because Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution is very clear. It says that everything that we do must follow democratic principles. So we want to urge the General Secretary, and the most shocking part of it is that we were never consulted. I mean, I heard some of the officers saying that some elders were sent to talk to us. I'll be very happy to be mentioned which elder was sent to me to talk to me, because nobody spoke to me. And without casting any insinuation and also creating doubt on the capability of our colleagues, I'll just recap. In 2021, the party led by the then national chairman, Honorable Ofuso Ampofo, and the General Secretary came to our caucus meeting. They came and the names were sealed, so suggested names. And I remember very well, the first question they asked the General Caucus was, do you want to retain your leadership or you want to change them? And there was a row, applause, that no, we want to maintain them. Even that, they said they wanted to be sure, because there were some other names that were also coming up. Each regional caucus was asked to go back and, having the names that had come up, consider what their choice.
Then, like a game of chess, just at the time the Kletos African-led group were holding their news conference, the new leadership and the party's national leadership were also addressing a news conference to straighten up matters.
The new leadership of our minority caucus has called on us today to have a conversation with us regarding the way forward, because the minority group in Parliament represents a very important wing of the party. We appreciate that the work ahead is going to require a lot of input coming from them. And of course, they understand that as a wing of the party, they need to work very closely with the leadership of the party to ensure that we can deliver the aspirations of our people, and especially being able to do what Ghana requires of us, which is to work towards taking out of power the most abysmal, the most incompetent, the most corrupt government in the history of our country. And so we've had a beautiful conversation with them. We've also signaled to them that early next week, on Tuesday, we'll be having a broader conversation with the caucus as a whole. That conversation is one that would basically confirm the decisions that have been taken in terms of explaining the way forward, for us as a party, and the best way to be able to make sure we deliver the mandate that has been given to us.
Thank them, obviously, for the honor shown us and the confidence that they believe that we are the ones to lead the minority in Parliament. We have also recognized that the work that they've given to us will require dedication and obviously a lot more than just sitting there. So we have said that we will deliver on just that. And then obviously we have agreed with the leadership of our party that beginning from today, there will be a series of activities that we will be undertaking. The minority caucus will have a maiden meeting with our leadership and the party leadership on Tuesday, 31st of January 2023.
Now, the change in the NDC leadership in Parliament continues to dominate discussions in the Asawase constituency. In the Ashanti region, constituents are divided on the development. Some expect the removed MPs to accept the decision of the party hierarchy, but others remain aggrieved and want the decision rescinded. Nane Aljuma has more in the following report.
Some displeased members of the National Democratic Congress in the Asawase constituency on Wednesday marched to the party office in Ashanti region to express their displeasure with the party's leadership. They burnt car ties to demonstrate their anger in the removal of their Member of Parliament, Muntaka Mubarak, as Minority Chief Whip in Parliament. They say the removal of Muntaka Mubarak as Minority Chief Whip is part of plans to make him lose his seat in the next primaries. Though they have vowed to protest the removal, they are ready to cause the party's defeat in the next parliamentary election if the incumbent MP loses the primaries.
Some of the national executives,
they want to use force to unseat the MP. We shall meet them in equal measure. John Mahama has charged us to match our opponents boot for boot. We will put our head on the line to maintain Muntaka Mubarak. But if the NDC should lose the presidential election in Asawase, we should not be blamed.
The deployment of security personnel forestalled the destruction of property. Debris from their action has been cleared. Some concerned constituents, led by Harris Umar, are pleased with the swift response of the Regional Police Command at the party office. The group wants the changed MPs to accept the party's decision.
The party, its leadership, fanatics and followers to understand that at all times the interests of the party should reign supreme than the interests of any individual or whosoever. Again, there had been a lot of issue about tribal caste that is playing, people raising concerns about Northerners being replaced. We find it very sad when we see people making these arguments. It is neither here nor there. It is baseless because there were times in the NDC where Voltarians actually took over the leadership in Parliament. There were times where Fantis took over the leadership in Parliament. And if today the generation has changed to give opportunities to other regions to also lead Parliament, I don't see any reason why this should be a subject for discussion. At least even if the leadership is rotational, then we should accept that we've had our fair share and it's time for other regions to also have their share. Again, the religious caste. Muslims, we are proud. At least we've had dignified people like Honorable Muntaka Mubarak, himself our MP. We've had Honorable Haruna Idrisu in that leadership position. So if today they've been replaced by others, at least we can only be grateful to the party for not denying us the opportunity ever to hold that position.
Well, Kweku Asante is a man on this beat. He's been following the story keenly throughout the day. Kweku joins us live on Zoom now with more. Kweku, you've been at the House of the Speaker of Parliament, where we understand a meeting was scheduled to take place. Run us through what you know.
So the meeting lasted more than 2 hours. It involved the new leadership of the minority, Dr. Kisela Tuforsin as leader, Emmanuel Kufibo as deputy, Chief Whip Governor Kwame Agboja, Ahmed Ibrahim, and his colleague, the deputy whip. So they met in the speaker's private residence at Ojarifla for more than 2 hours. They tried to discuss what they were going to do to be able to come to some stable footing after the rancor within the party. We know that the agenda of Dr. Kisela Tuforsin for now is to unite the party even before he embarks on any other plan that he has to strengthen the minority in parliament. He says the first order of business is to unite the caucus. And so this morning, he announced a series of meetings with key stakeholders within the party. Remember, there was supposed to be a caucus meeting of all minority MPs in the House today. That did not happen because the new leader says he wants to broaden consultation before next week that meeting will happen. And so as part of the consultation, they met with the party leadership, the press conference, which you've also played, and then they went to the speaker's place. We were not in a meeting, it was closed door. What our sources tell us that it was a very frank meeting. The Speaker of Parliament promised that, well, if this is a decision that the party has taken, then he has no challenges with that. He tasked this new leadership to engage, to embark on some consensus-building meetings to be able to arrive at a decision where when members of parliament resume officially on the 8th of February, the minority will be able to come together and deliver on the mandate that the Ghanaians give them in the last election.
All right, Kweku, grateful to you for that update. And let's now bring in the head of political desk here at Joy News, Evans Mensah, to try and put this into proper perspective. Evans, you've been in this thing for quite some time. You really understand the terrain. What could probably be happening to the minority?
I mean, first of all, it's unprecedented, what has happened today. The fact that we have two separate groups, even if it's two separate groups, it's normally you would talk about factions, but these are very established organs and wings of the party. One, the leadership, and then the other, the minority caucus, divided, both holding press conferences at almost the same time, saying two different things. And in the middle of that is obviously Kisela Tuforsin and this new group of leaders. So it's unprecedented. Again, today I heard from Kofi Adams who make the point, and maybe that also explains what is happening. This is the first time that midstream, the party has attempted to change the leadership in the House. He says normally the changes have happened immediately after a general election. So before the swearing of the new government, then that's happened. He said that's been a norm. So this is the first time it's happening midstream in a term of a party in opposition, like the NDC, they're in opposition. So the nature of this is possibly what is fueling this particular division, but also, from what we've heard, because of the lack of consultation. The thing about it is the executives who are now on the ropes, who are being accused of not consulting, have not denied that they haven't consulted. Asiudun Keita yesterday made the point that there are different consultations for different times, that this one doesn't require consultation because the parliament is already in session, so like the parliament is beginning afresh, which would have happened at the time when a new government is being sworn in, and so he doesn't believe that there's a need for that consultation, but post this, they want to engage. Fundamentally, this is it, but also there's a lot of suspicion. Suspicion from the Harry Reducer-led side against the current executives led by Asiudun Keita, and then suspicion from the other side too about the Harry Reducer-led. There's a lack of trust, right? About the suggestions about who supported who during the national elections that come up. So all that mix of things have played out for us to have this very toxic manifestation of divisions in the NDC.
Now, with what is happening, what could probably be the impact on the party itself and the sort of role the minority has to play in Parliament?
I made a point on State of Play today. I mean, I have a feeling this is a storm in a teacup, because if John Mahama returns, and from everything I've heard today, he's out of the country as we speak today. If he returns next week, and already we've been told that there's a meeting on Tuesday, right? If he returns next week, calls all the minority folks in Parliament into a meeting, into a room with executives, everybody will toe the line. it's obvious because John Mahama is the only viable NDC individual who can become the next president, right? Everybody in the party, the majority of people in the party agree on this. You dare not break ranks with him, because if he becomes the president, the next president, and as I said, he's the only viable candidate now for them, you're going to be outcast, right? So, and a lot of them MPs know that he wields absolute control. This is John Mahama NDC, right? So if you break ranks with what he wants, you possibly are losing your primary in May. If you win it, and he wins the elections 2024, you're not in his government, you're an outcast. So it just takes him. He's not in the country, that's why this is happening. But if he was here today, it just takes him to come tomorrow or next week and call everybody into a room and say, this is what I want. I want all of you to support him. Everybody will do that. Haruna Dusu was on my show on Monday, declaring his support for him. He says, I'll vote for him. I'll also pledge my constituency to him. You'd think if John Mahama comes and says, Haruna Dusu, support the new leaders, he will say no. He will say yes. I mean, so for me, I think this is a storm in the teacup. It all comes down to what John Mahama will do when he returns. And that will close this chapter, and the party can move forward with this. Then there's a question of the grassroots. Because we've seen the constituencies, right? There have been a lot of protests. That's the next step. Even if John Mahama settles this matter when he returns, then you have to move to the next step of trying to get a grassroots to toe the line also. And I believe that's not impossible.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. That's head of political desk here at Joy News.